Hello and welcome to Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com. It's been a real pleasure bringing Around the Wickets to you right throughout 2018, and we are in for the final episode of Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com for 2018, that is. We will certainly be back with a lot more in 2019. Now, we thought of obviously focusing on that last test match Sri Lanka played. Let me start off by saying, on a personal note, for me personally, I think 1-0 defeat for Sri Lanka is a creditable performance, because the Sri Lankans were never expected to draw a test match. They've always expected to lose the series 2-0. But having said that, there is always a lot to improve in every performance. It could be a win, a defeat. There are lots and lots one could do to improve that performance and get better. Now, just to recap, I don't think people are too keen to listen to the scores that Sri Lanka made. 104 all out wasn't really great, particularly the way they collapsed, and 236 in the second innings, really nothing to talk about. New Zealand, I thought Sri Lanka were brilliant. After they won the toss and put them in, got them out for 178, just lost that little ascendancy or advantage when they kind of caved in their first innings, and then New Zealand made 585 for 5. As they say, the rest is history. Lots of records. The biggest victory for New Zealand in terms of runs outside an innings defeat, and the biggest loss for Sri Lanka in terms of runs. Right. So that's where we're going to start from. I got Farveez Maharoof with me, who's taken a nice break last week. So in case you're wondering where he was cooling his heels and just taking a nice break, and he's back once again. And I'm going to put you right on the spot and ask you, what is seriously wrong with Sri Lanka? You get a side out to 176 and you lose by a massive margin. There's something wrong.
Yeah, I thought getting them all out 170 odd with Surang Lakmal taking 5, and then when it came to batting, the first day we lost two crucial wickets for soft dismissals with Dimut Karrat and Dhanush, and ever since then we never recovered. And then the second day morning we lost 5 wickets in about 10 runs, which is not good enough in this level. But all credit should go to the New Zealand bowlers. They bowled exceptionally well. They swung the ball with pace. That's what we lacked in the second innings. We couldn't swing it. We got 2 fast bowlers in Dushmantha and Lairu Kumaro, who are more like hit the deck bowlers, who hits the back of the length, whereas in New Zealand we should be much more pitching up than pitching it shorter. So I thought they were much equipped, the New Zealanders, when it comes to their bowling attack, and us, we thought we in the second innings especially, we lack penetration. We lack a lot of things. I mean, credit should go to Tom Latham, the way he batted Henry Nicholls, Ross Taylor, everybody. But I thought there are lots of improvement to be done. I mean, we keep saying it, but whether we're going to see the improvement in Australia, I have a big question mark, because the confidence level will be much lower for the test team. So as far as the one-day team concerns, it's a different ball. But when the test team comes, I think there's lots of work to be done. Yeah,
we'll certainly talk about the one-days in a little bit. But I can tell you that I can talk about some of the key moments in this second test match. To start with, Sri Lanka lost 5 wickets for 4 runs in the first innings. Now, that was too really hard. It hurt a lot. And in fact, it has been the worst last 5 wickets collapse in their test history. Now, I sometimes wonder how teams could recover after such poor performance. Then what about Trent Boult? I thought that was a dream spell. Let's not forget that. There are days where the bowlers get everything right. You swing the ball well, you pitch it up, you bowl the right line and length, and then you just go on and get your wickets. So Trent Boult, 5 wickets in 11 balls. And he in fact broke the record for the fewest balls to take 5 wickets in a test. In fact, the previous record was 12, held by Monty Noble, Jacques Kallis and Kemar Roach. So that's some achievement. Then the 660 target. Now, I'm just taking you through some of the key moments of this test match. Set by New Zealand is the 8th highest target set in the history of Test cricket. As I said, this is Sri Lanka's largest defeat in tests, and this is New Zealand's largest test victory and the 8th largest overall. Now, before I dwell a little bit further, can I kind of, describe Sri Lanka's effort in one word, if you allow me to do that? Inconsistency. Why I say that is, you have one batsman doing well in one game, then he falls away. Someone puts his hand up in just one innings, and the continuation is not there. Again, adding a little bit more, Suranga Lakmal was brilliant pitching the ball up in the first innings, but second innings, back of a length. So is the word inconsistency right?
I definitely agree with you. I mean, inconsistent has been the problem with the bowling attack as well as the batting lineup, and also making changes. I mean, after just a test match, I thought first test Roshan Abeysinghe should have played. But
just to stop you there, is Dhananjay De Silva suited to bat at number 3 in those conditions?
Technically, the batsman what we have at the moment, I think apart from Dhananjay, I don't think anyone is capable than Dinesh Chandimal. But Dinesh Chandimal opted to bat at 6, which was a surprising call for me. I would have loved to see him bat higher in the order. And the second innings, he showed batting at number 3 how to be done. And then again, coming back to the inconsistency, I mean, even the selection when it comes to, I mean, it's just giving one test. I know that Dhananjay will fail, but still, straight away putting him out, I mean, that's not going to do or cause any help, you know. But all in all, inconsistency, some poor performances. I mean, positives, if you take the entire 2018, it's probably only handful. 1 or 2 games which did brilliantly. Apart from that, we were just mediocre when it comes to all the performances. So this has to be addressed. I mean, this only the players can come up and put their hand up and do the right thing.
That is true. I couldn't have agreed more. But, you know, sometimes bad news continues to kind of, you know, sometimes bad luck, defeats continue to rub on you. It's like a disease. And now what has happened, the latest is Angelo Matthews is out for 4 weeks. Now, he couldn't bat in the second innings of this second test match. And it's very likely he's not going to play in the one-day leg. And I'm not so sure that he'll be playing in the test matches too, in Australia, the 2 test matches. Now, how much of a dent, how much of a issue, how much of a challenge is it going to be for the Sri Lankans, and whom do you think should be taking that place? You think Roshan should bat at 5, Dhananjay at 6? And you know, what are your thoughts as you go into this game? Because we're talking about a man who's carrying test experience close to 100 games. How do you replace a player like that, particularly on a away tour like this?
I mean, he will be irreplaceable. I mean, the way he batted, especially, you know, gutsing out, taking the short balls in the body, he showed a lot of guts, a lot of determination. But it's a hitsy repeat again. I mean, he keeps getting injured, which is a concern, to be honest, with the team dimension for his own form. He's not going to get any more better as an experienced player like Angelo. And also, taking the fact that he just started bowling, whether his body is able to bowl anymore. That's the question I have, because I have passed that age as well. So once you keep getting injured, that's a concern. But when he only keeps batting, he looks fine. But overall, he'll be irreplaceable. But batting at number 5 in the test match, I think Roshan Abeysinghe and Dhananjay will walk in. And also, the players which is undebatable is Dhanush Gunthulakas. Both test matches, I mean, most of the dismiss are very soft for me. So his place will be under scrutiny as well. I mean, there are a few options when it comes to opening batting. But number 5, I'll straight away get in Dhananjay or Ayuru Tirimana into the squad. But opening batsman's role, there are a few options.
I think Tirimana is looked at as an opener. I'm not so sure whether he'll be played at number 5.
I mean, it's an option to bat at number 5 as well. I mean, he is good enough to do that. So either way, for me, he should play. Simple as that. But in Australia, I think we should always go with 7 batsmen, 3 fast bowlers, as same combination what we played in New Zealand.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that 1-0 performance? Now, when I initially spoke, I did say that it was a very decent performance by Sri Lanka because they were expected to lose 2-0. 1-0, you think that's a positive?
Yeah, it's a creditable 1-0. I thought if you ask me before the series, if you had taken 1-0, I would have taken it. And we showed some guts in the first test, batting out Kusal and Angelo, and some decent bowling performance. One Lahiru, Kumar from Suranga Lakmal. We had good performance on and off, but not good enough to be competing at this level. I mean, as you correctly said before, not consistent. It's inconsistency which is hurting us. It's been happening for a long time. It's still happening. I don't know whether the management has given an eye on to it, whether, you know, how to do it or how can we take it off. So there's lots of ifs and buts. But that's what people get frustrated because of the inconsistency. I mean, one day you are brilliant and suddenly one day you are just nowhere and not good enough at this level to compete.
Well, talking about inconsistency, I can just give you some figures and that will tell you how consistent the Sri Lankans are. Well, take Angelo Matthews, 258 in 4 innings at an average of 258. Then Kusal Mendis, 225 in 4 innings at an average of 75. But we have no one else to show. in terms of batting. So that tells you a story why the Sri Lankans are struggling. In terms of bowling, Lahiru Kumar has got 9 wickets. He's got an average of 34.4, and Suranga Lakmal 6 at an average of 39.66. Well, 2018, how traumatic, how successful has it been for Sri Lanka? What are your thoughts?
Again, inconsistency. I think, I mean, one-day performance, Test cricket, I thought overall, we've been, having lots of changes because of that, because the players who are getting opportunities haven't been good enough to compete at this level sometimes. So I think that's a worry, and you need a settled squad. Even I think when it comes to 2019 World Cup, I don't think we know our best 15 still. We're just pondering what's the combination.
Do we know our first 6?
That's a good one. I mean,
let's not go to the 15.
So many players competing, but not in the positive way, I would say. I mean, there are lots of work to be done. So that's a concern. I mean, if you look at the top sides in the world, they know the best 11 or the 15, whatever. So when it comes to us, we're still pondering who and what individual should be there in what position.
Well, having said that, I must say that the Sri Lankans have had a topsy-turvy 2018. They won some, they lost some, they beat South Africa, but they should have beaten England. So there have been, it has been up and down, beat the West Indies in Barbados. No Asian team had done that. Drew a series in the West Indies, beat Bangladesh. Positives, negatives, but the Sri Lankans would like to have more positives with less numbers of negatives. But in terms of personal performances, Kusal Mendis should feel very pleased, particularly knowing that he was under the scanner most of the time, failing, criticized, but he still finished the year as the second highest test run scorer behind Virat Kohli with 1,023 runs in 23 innings. Average 46.50, which is quite good, and Mendis becomes the 10th Sri Lankan to score 1,000 test runs in a calendar year. Now, we also got someone who's a quiet achiever. Now, this is someone who doesn't really show off too much with his achievements. Dilruwan Pereira, I mean, he's been a wonderful performer behind Rangana Herath, and now the leader or the captain of the Sri Lankan spin bowling attack. He finished the year as the second highest test wicket taker behind Kagiso Rabada with 50 wickets in 21 innings. Decent average in this day and age, 29.32. Then Dilruwan becomes the 4th Sri Lankan to take 50 test wickets in a calendar year after Murali, Vas and Rangana Herath. Right, so that's as far as 2018. We don't have too much to talk about. Now, we go into the one-day leg of the series, that is New Zealand. We got a new captain in Lasith Malinga. So obviously the Sri Lankans will be expecting fresh thinking and hopefully better results. What are your thoughts? You played a lot with Lasith Malinga, both in first-class cricket and at international level. Does he have it in him to captain and turn a struggling team around?
I think he's a natural leader. He demands respect. He demands people to rally around him. So I think there will be a difference. I cannot say that straight away he'll start performing, but the right direction in a new year to start with a new captain, new vice captain as well, Niroshan Dickwell. I thought, sometimes.
What are your thoughts about that? I mean, just to stop you there, there are mixed thoughts about Niroshan Dickwell being made vice captain. He has a carefree attitude. He's not been seen as someone responsible. That's one side of the story. The other side of it is saying, give someone like that the responsibility, he'll change for the better. What do you think? Which one is more correct?
I think I'll agree with the second part. I mean, that's him. I mean, I've played with him enough at the club level. When he is given some responsibility, he boxes down and he does it. So I think that this is the change that he needed, as well as some fresh thinking needed. Because last year, if you think I take a one day a year, I think we've been pretty pathetic. So I think new management when it comes to the captain and the vice captain, that's a good thinking going forward. And
Lasith Malinga, not fair to have two guys from the NCC being captain and vice captain.
And Dinesh Chandimal test captain.
Exactly. What's going on? Is it only about is it only NCC about Sri Lanka cricket?
I mean, tell me anyone better. So Lasith Malinga for me a natural leader, but I'm fingers crossed. I mean, it's going to be tough, especially in New Zealand conditions, straight away to lead in the 3 one-day series. So, hopefully he does well and keeps that momentum going forward to South Africa and to the World Cup. I mean, he keeps fit as well. I mean, he's not getting any younger. So yeah, I think he's fit enough, but he has to be more consistent. And he's got a young team, good combination. So hopefully he will start well.
Well, I was going to put Farveez Maharoof on the spot and say, tell me about the team. What do you think of the 11? But with Angelo Matthews injured and not exactly knowing whether there's going to be a replacement or not, I'm not going to ask you about what the probable team would be, because I think there'll be lots of question marks. But what I will ask you is the conditions. Now, one thing that astonished me was in that second test, I could not distinguish between the pitch and the outfield. It was absolutely green, something that the Sri Lankans would have never seen in Sri Lanka. So are you expecting similar conditions, or is it going to be more batting friendly, where you'll have greater competition between or I would say great competitiveness between the two teams?
I think it'll be much less greener. It'll have some grass, it'll have more bounce, and eventually at New Zealand, historically, with my experience I've played, the first half of the game there seems to be something happening, but if it's 11:30 start, it still will do something. It'll have the same moment.
What about the nights if there are day-night games?
If day-night game, then night it swings, ball swings generally. I mean those days when we played, but the wickets are much true. So and also. New Zealand will be positive. They got Ferguson, who's quick, and he's renowned to bowl much shorter. So he'll test our batsmen. So that will be a big test for our batsmen to going forward. So I think overall New Zealand wicket, small grounds. You know, the elevation, the altitude is much higher, so the ball will carry a long way. So we are into a good one-day series. All depends on the combination what we're going to pick. So I mean, I have a few questions which Angelo is not there. Who's going to be replacement? But personally, I don't think that we need a replacement. We have Dasun Shanaka as well as ThePapare in the squad. So I think we are well equipped. My main concern would be a spinner. Now, Sikwe Prasanna in the squad is a batting all-rounder. He's mainly known as a batsman, not known as a leg spinner.
Why wasn't Amila Ponso not picked, particularly on those pitches?
I was a bit surprised. I mean, if you take Lakshan Sandakan, he won't. In a one-day game, I don't think he'll ever be my first spinner, because you know with his wrist spin you have to give some leverage, bowling some loose deliveries. Whereas a wrist spinner, off spinner, or left-arm spinner will control the runs much more better. So I think the names we have at the moment, we have only Amila Ponso to be honest. But you know I thought he's been unlucky straight away when the new committee came in. They're looking at new options. So I think you know we may struggle in the spin department, but overall I think our pace battery is good. In one Padi pace back, Lair Kumar is there, Lasit Maling is there, and you got ThePapare, who have a huge responsibility now with Angelo Matthews injured. So combinations, I'm very much looking forward to see how are we going to go.
Yeah, interesting times ahead for Sri Lanka. Interesting times when I say, as he says, what would be the combination? How would the captain go? Lots of questions for you and lots of answers to be found out as 2019 dawns. Now, before I go, I must ask you the question of the week. How many captains have led Sri Lanka in one-day internationals so far? That's the question. Now, last week's question was, who were the first pair of Sri Lankan batsmen to bat through the full day's play without losing a wicket? Now, the answer is Asanka Gurusinghe and Arjuna Ranatunga. They did it on the 5th day of the P. Sarah test against Pakistan way back in 1986. The duo scored 240 runs batting through the day to draw the match. And the winner is Gayan De Silva. So, indeed, it has been a pleasure bringing you Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com right throughout 2018. Farveez Maharoof, thank you so much for your company. We've enjoyed your thoughts and enjoyed your analysis. And for you, thank you so much for joining us. It wouldn't have been possible without you. So we conclude by wishing you a very happy, prosperous, blessed and a wonderful 2019. And we'll certainly be back with more and more Papare, or one more Around the Wickets, I should say, episodes on ThePapare.com. Until we see you again, a very happy new year from all of us.